Gonna proc it now. Gonna proc it now. By Jackson Aurelia. Jackson Aurelia. Gonna proc it now. Gonna proc it now. Proc it. Jackson Aurelia. TForce.
Welcome to the rework of the TForce. Now we going hard cause we bumping at the beat source. It's a 3-course dinner of dudes bringing the news and stats, interviews and cash from the pro scene. So fresh and so clean, like you're leaning with Nami in the bot lane. Keep it hot like brand, practicing his dot game. Give it to you easy like you're Resi in a bot game. Imagine Draven at prime time. Now ulti like LeBlanc can copy that 4 times, but manlier. Knock it up like now fight planning a family-er. You gotta be tuned in like Sona on the ad wall. Get on the chat call. Can a podcast really be all that? Of course. How do 4 guys make a Triforce?
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell, and I am your host for this lovely evening. It is the 4th of May, so may the Trinity Force be with every single one of you.
I see what you did
Well
there.
done.
How long are you working on that?
I stole it, actually.
Oh,
Yeah, we know.
I saw League of Legends Twitter tweet it, and I was like, damn it, why didn't I think of that? It was so good. Why didn't Claude think of that?
Hey, Claude, that's a pretty nice.
But it was too obvious.
That's a pretty nice little thing you got going on in your hair, buddy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's Syndra's, but, I think I pull it off.
I'm sure it looks just as great on her as it does on you, sweetie.
Almost
you're
as
scared.
good.
Punch is here.
hey.
Daze is here.
Hey.
DeClaude's here.
Howdy.
Last and always least, Chira's here.
Hi.
All right, we have a bunch of announcements. We need to jump right in here. We're going to talk about donations on Wednesday. So if you guys want to send us a donation, TrinityForcePodcast.com/donate. We have a number of them to read off. Wednesday, probably going to be a listener question episode. So that's why we're going to do the donations. So if you have a listener question that you want to get in, you want read above everybody and everybody else, TrinityForcePodcast.com/donate. We can be bribed. We can be bribed.
We can be bought.
Yes,
We don't
yes,
feel
we
bad
can.
about it.
And I don't feel bad in the least bit. Don't forget to go check out the Trinity Force Network because we have some really cool announcements coming up here on /r/TForce Network. On May 16th, you guys need to join us on twitch.tv/TForce Podcast because we are teaming up with Team 2G of Trick 2G fame. And we're going to have TForce listeners versus Team 2G listeners. So if you would like to sign up to play, it's going to be done like bronze versus bronze, silver versus silvers, gold versus gold, plat versus plats, and plus there's going to be a normal game. You can go to bit.ly/TForce Team 2G. TForce Team 2G. That'll be available on Wednesday if you're watching live. And that'll be a sign-up sheet for you to go out there to sign up. You'll tell us your rank. You'll tell us if you're available. I'll give you all the times and all the information there. But we're going to be playing them. It's all fun games. And the whole point of this is we are participating in the 8-bit salute for Operation Supply Drop to help our brothers and sisters who are stationed overseas to get some more video games to play. Or
That's
to
awesome.
get video games to play, I should say.
An all-day fun stream.
That's right. Chiro will be the one manning that. He will be your point guy. He will be taking care of the admin of it. When you play these games, what we're going to be doing is they're going to be really fun because you can donate. If you donate like we're going to have like the actual structure up next week, but it'll be like $5 or $10. You'll be able to pick what the support plays. So the support can play Cassiopeia. We're going to do mirror matches. So we're going to do pick what items people build. And it's all be based on donations. So if you guys donate to the 8-bit salute on May 16th, using that tier structure that we come out with here in the next couple days, you'll have the opportunity to tell us what we're playing, how we're playing it, what we're doing. It's going to be a really fun, really awesome day. More information here to come. It'll be on Team 2G's website, and we'll give you a link to it as soon as it's out.
Awesome.
One last final announcement before we jump into League of Legends discussion is that on May 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Ghostcrawler and Riot Lyte will be joining us in the Trinity Force podcast to discuss player behavior and the game and everything else. So
That's awesome.
Good
job securing that one, Adam.
Yeah, I just emailed him again. Like, hey, 3rd time's a charm. Let's get you out. I tried to get it back in like March. That is tentative.
Persistence.
That is tentative. That is not 100%. It's more like 80%. He said, barring no like emergencies, nothing blows up, no one has to go anywhere, they will be on. And if one can't make it, the other will. So we might just get Lyte. We might just get Ghostcrawler. If we get just Ghostcrawler, what we're going to do is we're going to do like a mid-season wrap-up. We're going to go back and talk about what we talked about when we first brought him on for Season 5 and see if their design decisions have matched up now. And if they both come on, we're just going to talk. We're going to bring Chris Alphanar on. You guys remember him from like episode 239, I think it was. We did the player behavior episode. He's going to actually be on that episode, on the Riot Lyte episode, talking to Riot Lyte. And I figured it would be a great episode to have like the master level psychologist and Riot Lyte, the player behavior specialist, just talk, like do my job for me.
That's awesome.
That would be great.
Can't wait.
Looking forward to that.
So yeah, you'll be able to find us all there. Again, that's May 11th. Ghostcrawler, Riot, Lyte will be on there. That's it for announcements this week. We'll have a lot more announcements on Wednesday, so guys, continue to stay tuned and be ready for that. We're going to move right into Ashe discussion is what we're going to start out with. So Ashe is being remade, and she's on the, I believe she's on the PB right now, right?
Yep, she is.
And
Played her a couple of times.
Punch has played her. So we're going to talk about what has changed with her. Actually, I kind of wish I had the Riot page up here, because Senators at 20s is a little harder to read. But so she's getting quite a number of changes. We're going to start with the base stats. Her auto attack missile speed has been, is that decreased? See, this is why I can't read it.
It's been increased.
It's been increased
going
to
from
2,500.
to, yeah.
Okay. It's going from 2,000 to 2,500. I mean, her missiles travel more quickly and hit the target more quickly. But her attack speed per level has gone from 4 to 3.33.
Yeah, which is pretty big decrease, but I think it's necessary in order for what they're going to change next. Because actually 4%, 4% is the highest attack speed scale amongst marksmen. She's tied for the highest, I should say, amongst Vayne and I think there's one other, but I can't remember who it is off the top of my head.
It also gives her a little bit of, like, a little bit more power early. I mean, auto attack missile speed's a bigger deal than people think. And they buffed her, I think, last season where they upped her, like, end game attack speed, where she got a lot near the end. So this might just be putting her back in line so that they can make all these other changes.
Yeah, they've got to do. I guess they have to push something back in the line since they seemingly making her more powerful throughout the rest of the
green
changes.
power in other areas. Right.
So her on live, her Q when activated, when toggled on, slows the target. They're removing that from Q and they're pushing that to her passive. So every time she auto attacks a champion, she applies perma-slow to that champion. And that champion is now slowed, and that slow strength increases with a character level. But she also, this is the cool, unique mechanic if you're not aware, Ashe can no longer critically strike. At all, ever, can never critically strike. However,
Never playing her again.
Right.
She must be underpowered.
Must be underpowered. However, they've changed it so that she never crits targets that don't have her pass that on, but always crits targets that do have it. Mass stuff below. So she's doing bonus damage, essentially, when she attacks a perma-slowed target. And that's based on your critical strike chance. So if you have 10% critical strike, you're doing 10% bonus damage, AD.
They actually changed that.
Did they change that a little bit?
When I tested a little bit ago, I got 150% times my crit in bonus damage. So for the 10%, I got 15% bonus damage. And it starts at 110% bonus damage when you have 0% crit. But it's actually more complicated than that, according to this formula that they have listed here, which says it's your total AD with the 110% base, like I just said, plus that total AD again times your critical strike chance, which I think is outdated because it appears to be critical strike times 1.5 now, times 1 plus the crit damage stat, which is what I checked on today. When I got Infinity Edge, I didn't get the 20% crit, which was actually 30% bonus damage, plus 50% extra crit damage. I just got the 30, and then my attacks were doing about 140% increased damage. So, yeah, it's a weird little formula. And I'm sure it's going to be tweaked. It's already been tweaked at least once. So they could continuously modify that.
Since you've played it, does, like, once you have some of those crit items, is it noticeable that she's just doing more, like, way higher consistent damage?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because their first auto attack doesn't crit.
Right.
But so you immediately notice that. Like, oh, I thought I would do more damage. Like when you're trying to last hit a creep, and you've just finished killing another one. I'm like, yeah, I do so much damage to my auto attacks. And you launch your first attack against another creep, and it does, like, 2/3 of what you were expecting. It's like, oh, yeah, because they have to be slowed first. And the crit symbol goes off every time you attack somebody.
Okay.
Even though you're not doing full crit damage, you're doing that extra damage. And
does it feel like you're critting? It feels like you're critting, though, on every hit? Like,
I mean, you're not doing chunks of damage. They're basically normalizing the crit for marksman. So she should be doing, like, that, basically that critical damage over more auto attacks, if that makes sense. So she's less spiky. But, I mean, it's definitely satisfying.
More sustained.
When you're doing more damage, and it does a crit effect every time. So, like, yeah, this is awesome. Feels great, but it'll probably go fast since every attack after your first is a crit.
Okay. Well, let's move it on. So Q has been changed. Ashe builds focus stacks by attacking up to 5 stacks. And I believe those stacks last for 12 seconds, and then they fall off. The last stat I remember reading, it was 12 seconds. That might be 10 or 12. So don't completely quote me on that, but I know they're not infinite. It's not like it stacks and you can hold on to it. It's stacked based on, like, Jax's auto attack, for example. When activated, she gains attack speed and her passive slow is improved for 4 seconds. If she consumes 5 stacks of focus, her auto attack also transforms into a flurry for the duration, which is effectively additional AD. During the flurry attack, Ashe will crit from her passive, and Lifesteal will only apply on-hit effects like Blade of the Ruined King and Brahm's passive on the first arrow of each flurry attack.
Yeah, because that would be a little insane.
Yeah, this is a really cool ability. I loved using it. The only problem is that it's got an 18-second cooldown when you activate it. So if I bought something like Runeans, right? When I buy Runeans, I'm stacking those that focus up quicker. So after I think it was 3 attacks, I got 5 stacks of focus, and then I was like, oh, this is great. I can be volleying, or I can use my flurry attack like every time. It can be never on cooldown, except it's got that 18-second cooldown. So it's really. A Runeans would help you get to that 5 stacks faster, but after that first time you activate it, it's not going to give you more activations. Because
You don't get more bolts or anything.
Well, it works for that too, but I'm talking about how often you can use this Q activation.
So you
you're gated by the
potentially
cooldown after the first time you activate it.
you potentially get to Ranger's focus like once per skirmish or team fight, if you're
Pretty
lucky.
much. Yeah.
Okay.
So you gotta pick a good target, but it's great for all-inning, which I think is what you're going to cover later, Pone, with your secret.
I have an idea for how I think Ashe will be played after this.
It reminds me of, I didn't see it or play it, but it reminds me of Jax's little quick attacks. You know, you activate it, you get those quick attacks, and then, or not Jace. I'm sorry, Jace.
Oh, right.
Jace's quick attacks. You know, you activate it, boom, 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 you get the real quick attacks. And it can be used on a turret, I'm assuming, because it just attacks. So I can see it as a good way to just quickly burn a turret.
Essentially, you're right. It doesn't really feel like that, just because you're letting off that volley.
Longer range, and yeah.
Yeah, it just feels different. But again, essentially, it's the same thing. It's just more. Well, actually, I think Jace does less damage now per attack when he activates that. More damage overall, but I think it's less base AD. Since he gets that huge.
It looks really cool. I saw a little video on League of Legends website showing
it. Is awesome.
Machine gun of arrows.
Yeah. When you talked about the Runeans earlier, I think Lee actually touched on this last episode. When you're using Flurry, those bolts fly off to different targets. So instead of just hitting 2, you'll have a bunch of bolts firing across a bunch of creeps, and they can't hit the same target too. So if you've only got 3 people there, then those 2 bolts will just machine gun the 2 side targets, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move on then to Volley. So Volley, for all intents and purposes, hasn't been changed. It's still the same spell that you're used to. It just does a bit less damage, has a bit lower cooldown early, and has better blocking gameplay now to free more. So no more free damage through minion waves. You shoot more arrows, and I think it's the same cone arc, but you shoot more arrows,
right.
But it doesn't do more damage if you hit more of the arrows.
It's harder to hide in between the arrows now.
Right.
Which is pretty annoying.
Right.
If that ever happened to someone who does playing Ashe.
Yeah,
like,
when you shoot
how do you fit in there, you fat ass?
Yeah, the further away, the easier it was to dodge too. So,
Hawkshot E no longer passively grants additional gold on last hit. Is now global and on ammo, but the recharge rate is longer than the old cooldown.
All right. Out of all of the abilities they changed on Ashe, I doubt they'll keep this being global all the way through to her being actually released on the live.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Like, I
The
mean,
2
it's
charges is awesome also.
it's effectively 2 clairvoyances when you want them.
Right.
Exactly. And
There's still a
clairvoyance is
travel
range
time on it. It's not instant.
I mean, that's fine, but you're seeing everything along the path, correct?
Yeah.
yeah.
So, like, that's still a ton of free vision. Like, even if you didn't, like, let's say you didn't know where their jungler was at. Okay, cool. So instead of picking one spot in their jungler to shoot it at, you shoot it across the entire jungle, see if you see a little bit of him, and have it blow up in their other side of the jungle. And if you don't see him in there, you can probably guess where he is at.
Sure.
That's a whole lot of power.
If your blue side bot you can hawkshot over like their blue and their wolves, and so you know they're not in their bottom jungle. Like that's a huge amount of vision.
Yeah,
And you get 2 charges of it.
Right.
that reload pretty slowly now, but it's still 2 charges in late game. It's pretty much all you need.
Still awesome.
That is pretty
So
awesome.
good.
Free vision, free
Yeah.
knowledge.
Well,
Wait, when you upgrade her scrying orb too, just the 2 together can reveal a whole jungle side pretty much, right?
Sure, you
Wards.
could, I
I
mean,
mean, Ashe doesn't need wards.
hit main camps or main bushes, and you pretty much have done the entire jungle. I mean, I know what you're saying. You cut it in half, so yeah, you could clear a whole jungle by yourself with Ashe.
Forget about sneaking Baron. It's not going to happen.
Not when Ashe is around.
Shoot an E and R at the same time, so you have vision. Enchanted Crystal Arrow has been relatively unchanged. The slow now scales with a passive rather than a 50% slow when it lands. So if it hits somebody, anybody who has not been hit by it is slowed. And those people are slowed by her passive amount instead of the flat 50% it always was. So we've seen all these changes with Ashe. She's obviously a marksman, but the way my little secret tech, I'm going to use air quotes because I've been having fun. Like immediately when I read this thing, I was on Twitter, I was like, Ashe is a mid now. Because I think with these changes, especially with the E, we just talked about how much free vision you get, how short the lane is, and how much utility she'll bring to a team based on the Enchanted Crystal Arrow and everything else. That she can go mid because she's gonna have more consistent damage and more bully potential between her stacking focus, melee damage. Now, the main thing that drew me to this was Shiv, and she has a really unique interaction with Shiv. Is that it can still the passive on Shiv can still crit. As based off of her crit.
As a normal crit.
Yeah.
As a normal crit.
The damage is based off of her new crit, though.
Right.
It's not the full... What's the base crit now? 150% or 200%?
Yeah, something like that.
Until you get
100%.
Infinity Edge. Yeah, it's based off of her
250,
passive
yeah.
crit. But yes, it will crit every time it goes off.
Yes, I can still crit. So I still I have this feeling that we're going to see, at least some people try it. It may not exactly work the way I think it is, but you can zone pretty effectively at level 6 with 4 stacks of your focus and your Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Hell, having the R up in mid lane pretty much meets singles death. But before that, if you effectively are able to poke and use your stacks properly, you can slow somebody, launch a hail of arrows into them, crit them with Static Shiv, push a lane, and start roaming really hard once you hit 6 with your Enchanted Crystal Arrow, which gives you a lot of control over jungle between the arrow and the E. That's kind of why I feel like she will see some play in mid.
Well, what
She's
about
still
pre-6 though? How's
She's
that
still going
laning
to run
going to go?
into the issue where if you can close the distance with her, she's not nearly as effective
Right.
up close, and you're smacking her in the face, and she's probably just going to melt in front of you. Like the way I see the new Ashe is that she still has that weakness of if you can get to her, you're probably going to kill her. But now, if you get stuck in that no man's land between trying to move to her and not being able to get to her, or trying to run away from her, you are so screwed. She's just like, she doesn't have to worry about using up mana like with her Q needing to be activated to slow you anymore. She's just always slowing you, and then she's doing way more damage the more that she's hitting you. Like, just feels like a nightmare champion to run away from, and a nightmare champion if you can't reach her. That being said, if you can reach her, she's dead.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't think she slows enough. I think you need a frozen heart.
Frozen Mallet.
Or frozen mallet, yeah.
Find them
Sorry.
both.
And
And
a
all the
frozen
frozen
heart.
items.
Slow them.
It's Ashe. I mean, you got to fit the theme.
The other
Exactly.
thing about putting her mid is you have to be careful because then your team is probably lacking burst and it's probably lacking wave clear. So you just need to make sure that that's not going to be a problem for your team if you take her mid.
Well, that and somebody like Zed is still going to be able to ruin
yeah.
Ashe's day. Somebody like LeBlanc, even Ari, like not
No,
that
no,
difficult
no.
to dodge an Ashe ult with an Ari dash. Like,
Sure, but when I say Ashe is mid, I'm not. You got to stop thinking like end all be all. She's going to be the person who takes over mid lane. She's going to be the person that wins it every time. I think she has a place in mid now over 80 carry because of the amount of utility she brings to the team, and a player who understands overwalking and understands the mechanics of 80 carry very well, I think can abuse the fact that she has the range that she does and that she can, she's in the shortest lane. Yeah, she could have a problem with Zed, but again, you kind of look at it as you have to have a little skill when you're playing the champion. You have to understand the limitations of it. You have to understand how to poke. You have to understand how to orb walk. You have to understand how to last hit. You have to understand what your role in the lane is. It's not end all be all with her. She will probably get destroyed by LeBlanc. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think
she'll have an issue with anybody with a big gap closer.
Pretty much.
But like if you're going up against assassins, so anybody who can end her before she can flip it on them, or anybody who could potentially dodge her ultimate in a pretty easy manner. So again, like those gap closer champions, somebody who doesn't necessarily have that kind of ability, she's probably gonna have a way better time against.
But yeah, these changes do heavily increase. I mean, she was already good in lane, but with the new focus, Ranger's focus change, I mean, she's very, very scary, I feel. And and from that perspective, I can see what you're saying, Pone, that she's got enough power to bully pretty much whoever she wants out of mid lane. Assassins accepted, because, like we said, they can just jump on her and ruin her day.
I still think she can bully some people out. I think in the right hands she'll be. I'm saying it's not the next OP.
Skill matchup.
I'm not saying that like she can't be played mid, but I think it's gonna be one of those situations where you see those people who are really good at Varus. They take Varus mid, and like it's not going to be a common thing. I don't think it's necessarily going to be her best aspect. I don't think it'll be necessarily better than her AD carry, but you can make that argument for any AD carry with utility, essentially, especially the longer range ones.
Well, I also don't think that. Yeah, I agree that this could happen. I definitely don't see it happening anytime soon because everyone's locked into the idea of her as a marksman, and since she's going to change, everyone wants to play her as a marksman. So it's going to take some time before somebody comes along like you and takes your mid and has success. Then people realize, oh, this is actually a legit strategy.
And
how long has it taken before Corki was seen mid?
We've seen Varus mid, so like I guess you could make anything work. But
in this meta, you can pretty much make anything work. No, you won't see me play Ashe because you guys joke about the circle skills. I know it's like a joke, haha, I'm accepting it, whatever. But I seriously can't hit Ashe arrows. Like that has been the thing that has plagued me my entire time that I've ever played League of Legends.
But mid lane is so short.
I can't hit Ashe arrows.
Just shoot them and then don't look at where they're going.
Exactly.
If you watch them, it's
Do like preseason 1 Ashe, where you're just mid doing your thing and you throw your arrow to another lane if they need it, and then you just stay there.
I love how people are saying Ashe can be weak when she's like one of the more popular solo queue picks. Like she dominates solo queue in a moderately skilled ADC's hand. Because she has huge trade potential with her passive, and that's what a good Ashe player will abuse. Right now on live, will abuse the fuck out of that crit that you have in that passive.
And volley spam. Yeah, a good Ashe player just dominates the lane, as we said a little bit ago. I think like only really Caitlyn rivals her as far as lane dominance goes.
Yeah.
So that's why these changes kind of scare me.
Not to mention an ult where even if she's behind, she can still bring some sort of utility to a team that allows them to, stun the individual she's trying to murder, which I'm cool with.
One of my favorite things about her is that she has an ability to force a fight. Like you can make the call, okay, go in. Like how many times have you played as like a backline champion and been like, okay, go in, and then like nobody does anything.
You can't get a bigger indicator for somebody to do something other than pointing a giant arrow at
or throwing a big rock man at them or something.
Yeah, it's just
that's another reason why she's so good in solo queue right now, and probably will still be pretty good as before. Is like Day said, if you have a second initiation and you can throw it out because you know when to initiate, there's no better signal for anybody. So yeah, I guess we're gonna have to keep an eye on her as it progresses through the PBE to see how that crit modifier changes, because that seems like it's gonna be the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's one of their levers that they like to talk about. Their balance levers.
One last thing about that, and I don't know if you guys answered it because I had to leave for a second, but did we find out what happens with the percent crit damage increase runes?
Increase runes?
We didn't. Yeah, there are runes that increase your crit damage by a percent, not your chance.
Like IE does. Increase.
No, I haven't looked into that. I actually meant to do a lot of math before we talked about this, but
I'm assuming they work the same way as IE, and they fit into this complex formula.
This formula, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
the crit
plus
damage
your crit damage times all the other crap.
Because I know
So
someone was asking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it isn't added into the bonus damage. Like I thought it would be I wondered if it would do that initially, because it would seem really overpowered if it actually did do that.
It
Or if
is.
you've
It's
got
through the
Infinity
formula.
Edge and all right, I got 80% bonus damage.
Yeah, through the formula it's added, so it dumbs it down. So if that's
Right.
a lever, 1 plus crit damage, then yeah, whatever runes you have, the eye edge, all that crit damage modifier adds to that, and then results in the outcome. I'd like to do some math on it. Where's Trampoline Tails when we need them?
Auslander and I were going to do it, but they keep changing the formula. So I'm just kind of waiting
Yeah.
until I see.
So wait till it goes live. Who do you think would be the best support with her in this change?
I don't know. I didn't know about with her right off the bat. I did want to know if Morgana's Black Shield stopped her bonus damage, and it does. So that seems like a good counterpick to her. But since she has more all-in potential now, I mean, you could just see the standard all-in supports. Leona, Thresh, they're always strong.
Maybe Braum would be good with her.
Bard.
Too.
She greens all that attack
Adam's on
speed.
the Bard wagon now.
No,
yeah,
no,
Braum
no.
would be actually really good if there's slow stack. And
I
can
like the
imagine they do.
Braum Ashe synergy just because Freljord.
Of course.
Probably yours.
Theme lanes automatically win.
Theme
Damn right they do.
Sejuani in the jungle. No problem. Just let all of the engage or counter engage.
We joke about that, but remember when we played LCS Rundown and we let them have the Freljord comp?
I was just giving them an edge, just making them feel good about themselves. The Ionian cop couldn't stand a chance to get the top Sejuani.
No.
They had CC on every character in their kit.
That's Freljord. Crossed everything. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic here. I kind of wanted to touch back on Bard real quick because we were talking about him a few weeks ago, and we've continually been down on him. I mean, hell, Chira texted
So
me.
wait,
I'll let Chira tell
Adam,
the story.
Adam, are you a flip flopper?
No, I'm not a flip flopper. I'm going to get into this. I just want to talk about Bard.
I think you're a flip flopper.
I think you might be a flip flopper.
Is Adam? Are you a flip flopper?
No.
yeah, Adam,
I'm wearing flip flops. What do you want from me?
See, well, that's all the evidence
You're
I needed.
dangerous.
No. Okay, funny story. If Chira didn't tell us before, is that he was texting me like every morning with clips from ProBuilds.net. Yep, Bard's still bad.
All right, for like a week, every day, I'd send Adam a screenshot from Pro Builds of Bard having at most like 2 wins on the list of most recent pros playing Bard because somebody had said, "Oh, the pros are starting to play Bard." It's like that's fine, but that doesn't mean they're winning on him. And that was before the Bard buffs, which actually turn out to be buffs. So Bard was still really, really bad. The little bit of love that they gave Bard, though, I think has helped him out a decent amount. I don't necessarily see him sweeping Summoner's Rift. And until this week, I still had never been in a game where a team with Bard on it had won yet. That being said, I think out of the 4 games with Bard in it this week, he's won 3 of 4. So anecdotal evidence.
I won 4 last night with him.
That being said, and I know you and Adam played a ton of them and won. That being said, every rank below Diamond still has a 45-46% win rate with him. And Diamond finally reached a 50% win rate with him yesterday.
That's nice. That's fun.
But at the same time, we did anticipate that Bard is going to be a hard to play champion.
He will, yeah. And
that's
it may
true.
just be, some of
There's
it
no
might be
support
that people are finally starting to pick him up. So you have all these new people trying to play him and are still getting used to his kit and things like that. So that could be part of it also. But
Well,
it looks like under the dot.
Well, let me talk about quick what they changed in Bard last patch and what I think was happening here and why the 50% is being hit. Because last patch they changed the experience per chime now to scales after 5 minutes with level, so that it's to promote roaming and promote grabbing your chimes. Because previously, I still have a bunch of problems with Bard. Don't be wrong. What I think happened to Bard is he went from bad to decent. He's a decent, okay champion now. He's not overpowered. He's not good, but he's not bad. He's not awful. He's just that decent, okay champion that could be played, and someone's gonna come along and make a team comp that works with him, and then.
Like we found out Cassiopeia and Bard pretty good together.
Yeah, fucking amazing. Because I can ult, and I had a 5-man ultimate on the enemy team last night. Again, anecdotal evidence, but I had a 5-man ultimate, and then Chira just walks up and waits and screams at them, and
everybody dies.
But they changed it so you gain that scaling XP, which was one of his problems before, because As if you don't know Bard, you have to go and collect your chimes to get meeps. And patch before this, they increase meep damage, so you are rewarded for collecting your chimes through the jungle. But the problem was it was always 20 experience. So after like level 6, it was like almost worthless to go away from your team to collect those chimes unless you had that extra 20 seconds to run around and grab them, because you weren't getting extra experience to go do it. Now you are, so you're not punished for leaving your team to go try to help your team, essentially. And I've been playing Bard again. I won 4 games of the last night. I've won a 4 before that, and I think now he's gone from roamer to lane. He's a lane bully at this point. I've been running mixed pen reds, and I dabbled with Quince a little bit, but I'm running mixed pen on him with supportish masteries. And your meeps, when they're up, do a lot of damage. They'll chunk somebody for just about a quarter of the life if you smack them with a meep or two.
Which is, in result, due to one of the last changes they made, which is the meeps spawn more often, so you can use them more often. And that's one of the things Bard really needed, was he needed to either use meeps more or have the meeps do more damage. Because before that change, his meeps weren't very scary as far as a harassment tool goes.
Right.
So now he can use them more often and harass more often, then yeah, now he does have lane presence.
But with all that said, it's still very conditional at everything. His Q is still really hard to hit. You just kind of got to hope people are standing next to a wall or walking toward a wall. You have to... I found myself a lot having to put myself into disadvantageous positions for myself to land my stun. But if I landed my stun and my team followed up on it, it made it advantageous. So it's kind of weird in that respect that I had to put myself into a poor position to land my CC. Unlike other people, you
like
don't
Morgana.
have to do that.
Just shoot a binding from across the map.
Or Thresh with his hook. Yeah, you land
Right.
your CD and go do anything.
Right.
But if those binds are hitting, as an AD carry, that was awesome to play with. Because you've got the increased Bard harass with meeps, and then you were hitting a lot of your bind stuns, and like, oh, more free harass. Maybe we can just kill them this time.
Right. Yeah, but that's it. It's still very conditional. And I guess the question, Kargan put it in good ways. The question is Bard good? The question is, are there champions that do what Bard does better? And the answer is still pretty much yes in a solo queue environment. However, I do think that Bard does, at this point, I think Bard is finally to the point where if he's played with a team that can follow up at every one of his gauges and that Bard can be can communicate what he's doing. Like, how many times did I yell, double stun, stun is landing, yada, yada. People could follow up on that. It makes him better than if you're in solo queue. Because the stun doesn't last long enough to...
Do you also want to speak on how angry you are at the way that the chimes spawn still?
Oh, Jesus, fuck that. I hate that fucking chime spawn. Okay, so as of last patch, chimes aren't supposed to spawn in the enemy jungle pre 5 minutes. And I still think they do. They probably don't. But it pisses me off that if I'm being rewarded for roaming, based on how this champion is conceived, that if I roam mid and a chime spawns in the top lane, fuck that. Why is that chime spawning in the top lane and punishing me for roaming to try to help my team out when I make nothing of it? And it happens more than once. And then the chimes, actually, after 5 minutes, I swear to God, all the chimes start spawning in the enemy jungle and stop spawning in your jungle because they just don't want you to collect chimes.
No, it's Riot telling you, go here. You will succeed. Follow your fate, your destiny.
Yeah.
Oh,
Either
don't
that or
tell
it's
people that
Light.
because
Yeah.
there are going to be some people in Bronze who take our word for gospel and are like, but no one spawned in the enemy nexus. I have to go get it.
All right, if that happens, they're gonna rename him from the Wandering Caretaker to the Wandering Dead Guy because that's all he's gonna be.
Right.
Wandering Gravedigger.
Yeah, there you go.
Or Wandering Mortician. I don't know. Something's here. Someone's got something.
To go
I
back
like
to...
Wandering Dead Guy. That works.
I wanted to comment on what Kargan said about who would be a better choice. And to me, that always comes down to identifying what the champion is good at. So in this case, what is Bard good at, and what do his alternatives offer? And I'm still not sure what Bard is good at. Somebody in chat mentioned lane swapping. Mm-hmm. I could see that, but I mean, he's supposed to be good at roaming. But they increase his lane presence. Is his roaming any better now?
Nope.
I didn't get that. I didn't get that feeling when we played together.
Well,
I
and that's-
never roamed, though, did I? I would leave lane to get
Not
my
really.
chimes when we had to back, and then I would come back to lane a little late.
I feel like
That's
Nami does
something-
everything he does better. You
Pretty
know?
much, yes.
Yeah, that's something Adam and I actually talked about a little bit earlier today, and that the other big thing with Bard is that he's never gonna be in this spot where he's great at both roaming and laning, and if he's only good at roaming, he becomes so bad at laning it punishes whoever you're laning with.
Right.
And if he's too good at laning, he's never gonna roam. So like they're
Yeah, finding that balance can be really, really tricky for
well,
Riot.
it's not even just finding the balance. The balance that is there to be found isn't very like conducive to the way that his kit is supposed to theoretically work. So like right now, if you can lane bully and you're able to get that advantage in lane, if you can get 2 people ahead, that's always better than getting 1 person ahead. So that's what you're going to be doing.
No,
rather than just running around getting chimes.
I like meeps. I like the meep mechanic. I like that it respawns. I like that it scales with the number of meeps you get. I like that as a slow and AoE, extra damage, all this utility in it. I hate chimes. I hate chimes. And it's not just because of chimes respawn rate. It's because I am being potentially punished for making the decision, do I go back and pick up more items, or do I spend an extra 20 seconds to pick up chimes and potentially increase my utility? And in that 20 seconds, do I give up objective control? Do I give up lane presence? Do I put my AD carry behind? You know, you have to make all these on-the-spot decisions, exactly, to go pick up these chimes. And so, for the most part, it works out. But I don't like having to make that extra decision of, I could have used that extra 20 seconds to roam into mid lane and help my mid laner out by doing a stun rather than picking up 5 fucking chimes to get to my next level of meeps.
You know what? Maybe, I don't know if this would be OP or not, but I think if his passive just scaled, on its own rate a little slower than if you were just doing exclusive chime collecting, but faster, obviously, than not collecting any. If it just scaled on its own, but they left chimes out for the speed and experience for whenever you ran past them, I don't know, I think that would kind of fix him. I don't think he'd be OP. He'd still get the chime bonus, but it would just be generating slowly. Like a lot of champions have passives that do that, generate at certain ranks based on your leveling. And then he gets his whatever meeps. Maybe it can't cap at the 400 chime limit or whatever it is, but
I would like something like
make
that.
it reasonable. And then you don't have to collect chimes, but if you're running in your forest, maybe they spawn around you, so you have an advantage. If they're in your forest, you get a little bit of XP, and you're still encouraged to roam, and you get a little bit of a speed boost. That's my take on it.
I think there's a bunch of little things like that they can do to Bard.
Rita,
Not
please.
all at once, but giving so his auto attacks based on level maybe gain extra. So at level 6 he gains AoE, but at the auto attack's already slow, and every level the slow increases like Ashe's passive. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, like you said. Like there's little things you could probably do with the meeps to make them more entertaining. But then he loses his whole wandering kit, and then the whole magical journey doesn't really make sense because magical journey is a way for you to go grab your chimes more quickly and get back to lane and Like at that point, Bard needs a quick kit rework. So I'm sure there's something out there that we're missing that Riot can do to make Bard a little bit better than what he is.
Yeah. I agree. That's his problem. And
if you're seeing success on him, keep playing him. We're not telling you not to play him. Just
like we said in the beginning.
Yeah, just know that like there are other champions that do what Bard does, but better than Bard. Or it offers more utility than Bard does that isn't as situational.
It goes back to the lanes versus roaming thing. That's really what you got to look at it. What do you want to do? How do you want to do it? And pick a champion that can do it as well or better than.
But if he raises your morale, not Gangplank style, but if he raises your morale because you love his sound effects, you love his kit, you love the meeps, the way they whisper creepily into your ear when they spawn. If that stuff is really, you just enjoy it, then yeah, play it. Sure, maybe Nami will be better, but you don't like fish. Then don't play something you don't like just because you think
sushi,
it's better.
Though. I love chopped up Kargan. A little roll that in some tempura.
Sushi is awesome.
Sushimi.
All right.
Do we want to talk about Ryze at all? Am I the only person that's played him?
No, let's talk about. I watched Crazy Phil play him.
Okay.
Played him a little bit.
Chiro.
All right, so for those of you who have played Ryze, or those of you who haven't played Ryze, I think the era of the super... Don't get me wrong, Ryze can still carry the game late, but the era of Ryze being borderline unkillable late while still doing tons of damage is over. And the reasoning for that is just with all the CDR... punch clapping. With all the CDR being baked into his kit, you don't need to end up buying that Frozen Heart or a couple of the other items that you used to buy in the past. Spirit Visage, I'm looking at you. But you build him way more like a traditional mage now than you've ever built him. And when you play him, he feels way more like a traditional mage because when you do get into those skirmishes where you might just be able to out tank somebody, you don't have that infinitely going CDR reduction from using abilities. You kind of have to pick your battles a little more intelligently, and you can't just be as bullyish as you used to be because you're not as tanky as you were. That being said, you hit really, really hard if you can get to the end of the game and you did build all AP and you have major poking potential, which is awesome. And your ult still AoEs stuff down. So I don't know.
So keep in mind that there is a new rotation for his abilities.
Right.
It's no longer QEWQ. If I remember correctly, that's how it was.
It used to be like QREWQ, so that you could get the AoE damage on the first, like as the Q's flying through the air. If you hit R between the two, it applies to that first Q that was thrown. Plus, you'll have it'll start knocking down the seconds on the Q that you just threw as well, so you can get another one off as fast as possible.
Yeah,
and now you can't do that.
Open with E. I think you're maxing E, even though you don't even max Q anymore. From what I've seen, people are maxing E over Q because Q
I've
doesn't
seen
hit
that
enough
as
away.
well. I've seen that as well, and it's just because again now with Q not being able to necessarily E's
not
kind
a
of
guaranteed hit.
That's exactly it. E's kind of fallen into the slot where Q used to be, in that if you can get in range to hit somebody with something, you get that guaranteed damage off. Whereas if you just chuck that Q out there, you can last hit with it, which is fine. And I tend to do that, especially if I'm in a lane with somebody who's aggressive and is probably going to try and kill me. I don't know why. I've been playing against a lot of Garens as Ryze lately. It's kind of weird. But
Garen's making a comeback. That's the story.
You're playing him top?
Yeah,
Ryze?
yeah, I was playing Ryze top. Okay. Though I could definitely see him coming back to mid at this point. But
right.
I can definitely see the E maxing just because it's guaranteed damage to get off that you don't have to worry about the skill shot. The only other issue with that, though, is that if they're standing in the middle of the minions, now you're pushing your wave on a character that doesn't necessarily have the greatest escapes unless you have flash up or the move speed from your ult. But now that you have Q in its range, you can sit back a little bit farther. So there's kind of
give and take there.
Exactly.
So he's more bursty and less sustain. How does his lifesteal feel compared to live lifesteal or old lifesteal?
I feel like the old lifesteal was a little bit more significant just because I feel like you were chucking out all of your abilities the old spell vamp. You were just chucking out your abilities way quicker, just because that the CDR reduced all the abilities from the passive. But I don't know. It gets into a situation right now where if I can sit back and poke, you're still getting a ton of lifesteal back if you're hitting a bunch of stuff, especially when you're building all that extra AP.
Yeah, Phil was saying that at some point, rather late into the game, that he did full heal himself when he was pretty low.
I can definitely see that.
So yeah, it's still significant. It could just be that more early on, since he does less damage early, the spell vamp's not that great.
I was playing that game with Phil, and I watched him go from nearly 0 to full with like a full rotation of spells at max rank, and we're talking 5-item build, though.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing you got to keep in mind with the spell vamp sort of thing is now that you're building in more damage, you potentially could get more spell vamp off if you're hitting, like, again, big waves of people, or you're just pumping a ton of damage into whoever you're hitting, which is great. But at the same time, that now adds some counterplay where instead of just building really, really tanky and doing damage, so like the damage that they're doing is mitigated, your tankiness kind of comes from your healing because you're able to heal a significant amount because you're building that much more AP. So like they can ignite you and it kind of just throws a wrench to all of your tankiness.
Right.
Potential tankiness, I guess, is the best way to phrase it.
Right. How have you been seeing him build? Is it like kind of like Seraph's, Roa?
I've been going Seraph's Roa into normal mage, depending on how I feel. I like getting the Luden's Echo on him just because it's super satisfying to get that Q off on somebody from afar and then watching the AoE smack everybody else, and then just pumping as many items into as much AP as possible. Just because like between all the mana from the Roa and the Seraphs and then a Rabadon's on top of it, I think at the end of a game the other day where I got full build, I was pushing almost 1100 AP.
Oh wow!
Any double Roas?
It's like Vagar side.
I haven't done any double Roas, and mind you, this is on a character that doesn't have any like it doesn't have like a Vigar. You press a button and it gives you more AP for the rest of the game. This was just on a character where I built all the late game items and had all the AP and the Magus Sorcerer's Potion Flask, whatever it is.
Right.
But again, 1100 AP is nothing to joke with, nothing to laugh at, and I was hitting people so hard that they just fell over anytime I wanted.
It's a ton of AP, but it comes at the cost of he can now be killed.
Yeah, that was the other thing. I died real fast, so
Punch can't wait to shoot them.
Oh man, the sorrow I felt every time I tried to attack Ryze and I did negative damage, and he killed me in 3 spells.
Yep. Well, I mean, it was great when you like back in the day when you were building Frozen Heart and all that stuff on Ryze, getting a Spirit Visage just for the little bit of extra CDR and the uber spell vamp that you were getting off that and your ult. You were able to just basically never lose a 1v1 because you were a monster. And for anybody who's also interested in playing with kind of a different build, a lot of people are playing with like a Mana Mune instead of the Seraphs, which I like the Seraphs just because it gives you, I guess, a glimpse of that former tankiness you used to have, because now you can just pop a shield and you're all right. But the Mana Mune, if you use your E, it hits everybody multiple times. Like whatever the main target is, if whenever the extra E procs go and smack other stuff, it also does those extra procs worth of Mana Mune damage to the initial target.
And that's a bug?
I don't know whether it's a bug or not.
It drains your mana, doesn't it?
It'll use up like 1,000 mana on one ability. So like it hits real hard, but you'll really quick.
That's worth.
I am interested to see how Riot feels this, or how successful Riot feels this rework is. Because on the one hand, it does seem like they wanted to reduce some of Ryze's tankiness in his build path, but they also wanted to give it back to him with the shield that he got on his passive, because he does need some tankiness, it feels, as a close range mage. But I guess my question is, how tanky do they want him to be?
Right.
Not as tanky as before, obviously, because you're going to be killed and can kill everybody else. But is he at the point now where he has to build so much offense to have an impact that he's just too squishy on the front lines?
I don't think so, because that shield, that passive shield, puts him kind of in the Urgot category where you have a tanky AD carry. He's the tankier mage. Well, aside from like the Gragas and the Cho'Gath, but
as much as you want to say he's a tankier mage, like he's maybe a third as tanky as he used to be.
As he used, yeah.
I think he's just about as tanky as he used to be, as long as that passive's proc and he's got his ult going. That as long as he's throwing spells out, he's throwing his machine gun as quickly as he could, he's not dying. But that's assuming you can get them out.
I don't necessarily agree with that, just because now the issue is if you get CC'd once in a fight, you're probably dead. Whereas in the past, if you were CC'd, you just ate that CC and kept on trucking afterwards.
Well, I mean, that's fair. That's fair, but that's assuming. Yeah, because he has to throw spells out to use a spell vamp, and he has to proc his passive to get.
That's exactly like you have to be doing things to stay as like even a modicum as tanky as you used to be. You're not just tanky anymore.
Sure.
Which, yeah, you can't really control when your passive is up, when that shield is up. I mean, you can throw as many spells as you want, and then hopefully get the shield when you want it, but there's no guarantee. I mean, it could proc after the fight's already over, and you don't need it anymore.
Mana Mune / Essence Reaver Ryze.
Days, what are your thoughts? Because I don't want to hear about this crap today.
I think the biggest difference is that, as far as his shield goes, it's a lot like a Gnar ultimate or anything like that, where you want to have like a certain number of stacks before you go to fight, just so that it'll proc when you need it. But I think the biggest difference on him as a whole is that I think he takes a lot more skill and a lot more planning than he used to, where you could kind of just walk into everybody and like Punch said, you could kind of just eat CC and then just kill everybody. Like you just rolled your face across the keyboard. Now you actually have to like plan, you have to position, you have to like choose your targets wisely, because you might not get a second chance. Yeah, he takes more skill now than he did before. So it's going to be a huge adjustment for some people.
Mm-hmm. And the rework is definitely successful on that point, that it does require more skill to play like that.
It used to be so brain dead to just get 40 minutes in and then carry a game.
Right.
Like that, and people could do it. It was one of those situations where Ryze, like for a long time, was a pretty decent starter mage, and that if you didn't know everything that you were doing, you could get potentially punished early, and if the game went on long enough, you were going to be able to carry. That isn't necessarily the case anymore.
Not only that, he was one of those people where you were playing against a timer because after a certain amount of time, even if the Ryze player was pretty bad and got stomped early, it didn't matter because you just couldn't kill him. You would just kill everybody.
I'm laughing because I used to play him. It was like 2013, probably. It was, I think it was winter 2013. I'd played him mid when I was doing our rank climb at that time. And the same thing as Daze said. I could just play him, and then the game would always go to 40 minutes, and at that point I would stomp, and I'm like, I'm the greatest Ryze player there's ever been.
I'm so good. I just press these buttons as they come off cooldown.
And then everyone dies.
Well, it used to be the situation where you could, like, if you knew what the proper combo was, you could pump all the damage into somebody and it would kill them really, really fast. But even if you were terrible at that and you just botched the combo every time, if it was that late in the game, it didn't matter. You were still probably going to kill them. It's just you killed them slightly faster otherwise.
Well, let's talk about another champion that is rising to the occasion, and that is top lane Mundo with Smite Teleport. Because I have been banning the hell out of him because of Q, the Q change. Mundo's Q now refunds full life back on use if it kills a minion. That just turned top lane Mundo's game into, it's like nightmarish levels at this point because you can't kill him anymore. He farms safely until 6, then he duels you with Skirmisher Saber, and he either split pushes or runs into a team fight. That's all I have to say. Like, I think Mundo is overpowered right now in the top lane as long as Skirmisher Saber is out.
I'm glad I haven't seen him.
Yeah, I haven't
Because
seen
I'd
him
add him
yet.
to my ban
I
list
haven't seen
immediately.
it either.
I will either play him tonight or I will let somebody else play him. Chiro should play him. Teleport Smite, get Skirmisher Saber. At even pre-6, you can duel any fucking person you want. Like,
Do you go Cinderhulk Cleaver?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't even go Cleaver. I just go Cinderhulk. Just Cinderhulk,
You know what?
straight into just much
I'll
life
just go
as I can.
Cinderhulk,
Right.
nothing but Warmogs. Let's make some magic happen.
When I played him, I even started running Spellvamp Quints in the top lane so that my E and W returned more life when I was using it, so that I had like a fail safe. Plus Q was healing me for more than I was using because I get the 100% plus 6. I got 106% back on a death rather than 100%. It's dumb. It's seriously dumb.
Mundo was natural to come back when the Smite teleport changes were around, except that he was kind of limited in that he could always be caught because he didn't have an escape pre-6.
Right.
Even at 6, it's not really an escape, it's just a movement speed increase. But with this change, as you're saying, and how I understand it, is he's basically just staying at the tower and farming forever. He doesn't need to put himself in danger.
Yep.
Well, that was
because
what the
he could
issue
just
was before.
Use Q forever to last it.
Q forever, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Then you can trade hard with Z because Z gets free AD on it. So you're doing percentage of life with Q. You're getting all your life back. You're free trading. You have Skirmisher Saber doing 20% damage. You just think about it. Like, top Mundo is fucking stupid sick right now. And
You get a lot of free AD with that E.
it's 100 at max rank.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
Can we stop talking about him? I don't want people to start playing Mundo
No,
again.
and Jungle Mundo, I think
kinda
is
wanna
actually
know.
really sick right now. I was talking with Horse Doctor about it, and he changed my view, running some attack speed rather than spell vamp. You know, a little bit of armor / health per level quints. If you start your first camp, whatever it is on the other side, and then go 2 wolves or wraiths, and then go to your buff, you're pretty much safe throughout the entire jungle with maxing Q. Or no, you start E, then go Q, if I remember correctly. I have to ask him again. He's in chat. He'll probably
2
yell at me.
wolves? Like 2 little wolves?
You go to your 2 small camps, then you go to your. I've actually been doing that a lot lately.
okay.
I go to my 2 small camps now
So-
rather than going small
So
camp.
Krug's
buff,
chickens, red, or Grump, wolves, blue.
blue. I've been doing that a lot more lately. Ever since he brought that up, I've been going Krug's race red because every time I always had a problem with staying there forever using. Feel like I'm eating all my potions when I don't need to be eating all my potions because Smite's not up. But now I can go over to chickens and kill chickens relatively quickly with whoever I'm playing, and I still have a potion left when I'm done. It's pretty nifty. And then
I'll have to try that.
I can also be ready if anyone tries to invade me, because if you have like a shock or somebody, they're probably going to come in for your red if you're on that side. So if you're
You'll
doing
see
your
'em.
race, you'll see them.
Yep.
Sorry. Let me go back. Horse Doctor right here. He says, EWQ, smite small, smite big, like golems, chickens, red. So you smite your golems, you kill, go smite the big. go smite the red, and then you go do your thing. You go do Mundo things.
Well, let's say when you're smiting if you're coming back to the red and smiting it, you're getting a huge health chunk anyway. So it's like getting an extra potion and a half bonus from just the extra health you're getting back.
From smiting red, yeah.
Yep.
Again, it's just one little small thing that affects Mundo, and he rises to prominence. Before it was the mastery change, which increased your
That
health
wasn't even a
regeneration.
small thing.
Oh
That was
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
massive
That-
giant.
Second wind.
Yeah, right. But
Well,
I mean, it
and
didn't
now-
affect anybody as much as it did Mundo.
That's true.
Right.
The other thing is too, if Mundo does make a resurgence top and you're taking smite on him, as long as you're on bottom side of the map, you can just run in and smite Gromp anytime you want to, and then you have a ton more effective trading power if you're building nothing but health anyway. So like, I could see again come back. I could. It's gonna be annoying. I don't want to see Mundo again.
I'm sorry I brought it up. The number of listeners that we have on this podcast, I'm sorry, we affect a very large majority of the League of Legends community, and now no regrets. Go play Mundo, guys. Go get that free low.
Yeah, ruin
Got no
everybody's
on my ban
day.
list.
I'm gonna do it.
Also, I think
I love
Callista is
Mundo.
free low at this point. If you're good with Callista, like if you're good at, if you understand how to jump, I think she's free low.
That's the asterisk with Callista.
Yeah.
Imagine
Imagine that. You have to be good with a champion that's hard to play to make them work.
No, like to make her free low. As long as you understand how to do her jump, she's free low. I'm telling you. My Callista, better than punches. I'm gonna put that out there right now.
Okay.
We're gonna have
Blind pick.
Callista off.
Blind pick. Let's do it.
Yeah, right. Let's prove nothing.
Callista v Callista.
I think that's pretty much it for this podcast. I'm sweating balls like my face is on fire.
It's like summer's here or something.
Yeah, you want to turn that fan on real bad, don't you?
Oh my god, so bad. Do you have no idea? The window, I had to close it halfway through. Like
I know.
it's so hot in here.
I want to do the same stuff.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for listening. We're going to go off and play a couple games tonight. We will be back on Wednesday to talk more. We're going to do some donation stuff on Wednesday. We're probably going to go run through the rest of the listener questions because I got a whole bunch of them in the mailbox. Please send us more listener questions. We're going to do a couple more episodes of those in the upcoming months. We want more of yours. So if you guys have questions for us, put them out there. Go visit /r/TForce Network on Reddit and put your listeners' questions there. Also go check out Forward's podcast and everything, guys. There's tons of good content out there. OzLOL's putting out a ton of stuff. You talked to Lee last week with the OPL. Like, that's kicking back up. LCS Rundown has really hit their stride. Their Sheen Procs, I haven't really talked about in a while. Guys, go check out our YouTube. We've been pushing out player interviews every single week. Last week they interviewed Keen from Team Dragon Knights, and he talked a lot about the jungle and whatnot. And they're going to Serial Box at Lanzolini. They're going to MSI. So if you want to meet up with them, you can guys go check out Serial Box and Lanzolini. That's it, guys. That's all I got for announcements. So guys, thank you so much for following the Trinity Force podcast. We will see you all on Wednesday for episode number 258.
Bye,
Later,
guys.
guys.
Bye,
Later.
guys.